Maharaja Bala, your rival Indra has committed a grave mistake. Gather your mighty generals. The time has come to claim the heavens. March upon Swaga, for this day victory is ours.
One of the most famous historical events that appears in the Bhagavad-gītā is the churning of the milk ocean. According to Vedic understanding, the universe is divided into two mentalities. One is known as demonic nature or asuric nature, and one is known as divine nature or devata nature. Externally they may appear the same, internally yet they are very different. The mentality of good and bad is omnipresent in life. One can philosophize if evil even exists given the circumstances. One can justify many evil things as necessary good. God, however, cannot be deceived. As he lives eternally in the heart of all living beings, he always sees their true nature and intention. And as he is impartial and non-envious, he does not pick sides based on birth or family, but on their nature. One time, the so-called good guy, the demigod Indra, became proud of being the lord of heaven. As supreme leader of the demigods, he enjoys great opulences and powers. Yet it was a slight mistake of disrespect that caused the leader of the Devas to condemn his nation to be conquered by the Daityas. One day, after performance of penances in the forest, the great sage Durvasa Muni traveled to the heavenly gardens of Lord Indra. Being quite pleased and peaceful, the sage offered with great respect a garland of the goddess Śrī to the king of heaven. Indra, who didn't really care for the garland, thought it to be no better than to be worn by his pet elephant. When Airavata did not like the garland, he threw it to the ground with his trunk and trampled upon it. The sage Durvasa, being very offended by this, cursed Indra with the following words: "Because of your pride of the position of the Lord of the Three Worlds, endowed with its unique prosperity, you slight me. Therefore let the prosperity of the Three Worlds be taken from you. There is no doubt, my words will prove true." Indra did not care for the words of Durvasa and simply turned his back, walking back into his city. The goddess Lakshmi Devi, who is one of the central figures of this narration, was offended by Indra's behavior, because the garland from the sage's neck was the prasadam from her own body. Insulted, she departed the Three Worlds and became unseen to the demigods. As a reaction to that, sacrifices were stopped and the demigods gradually became weaker. After some time, the demons arranged for a widespread attack of the realms of the demigods. Possessing great knowledge of material technology, they were invading the planets of the demigods on a galactical dimension.
Indra, you coward! Come and fight!
Though the Daityas, also known as Asuras, have an uncultured nature, one among them, with the name of Maharaja Bali, was different. Thus Bali conquered all the heavens. The demigods, having suffered a colossal defeat, had no other shelter than using their mystic powers to transform themselves into animals, hiding amongst their enemies. Bali, who worshipped Brahmanas, did not just rise to power, but also managed to keep it, being defeated, not dead. The demigods soon gathered together, discussing how they could save their home. In great despair, they approached their supreme leader, Lord Brahma, asking how they may get back their royal positions in heaven. Brahma, who felt deep compassion for their suffering, answered, "The Supreme Lord already knows our predicament, yet it is our duty to approach him." Then, departing to the holy island of Shvetadvip, at the shores of the ocean of milk, Brahma went into a silent meditation, calling upon the Lord of the universe. Pleased by Brahma's austerities, Viṣṇu appeared, saying, "O Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods, please hear me with great attention, for what I say will bring good fortune for all of you. As long as you're not flourishing, you should make a truce with the Asuras, who are now being favored by time. O demigods, fulfilling one's own interests is so important that one may even have to make a truce with one's enemies. For the sake of one's self-interest, one has to act according to the logic of the snake and the mouse." What did Lord Viṣṇu mean by the logic of the snake and mouse? Once, a snake trapped in a basket was unable to escape. The basket, however, contained some food. So a mouse passing by who smelled the food started to scratch the basket to open up a hole. The snake, realizing its opportunity, waited patiently in a dark corner of the basket, opening the passage of food to the mouse. The serpent, being the mouse's natural enemy, has not made peace with its nature. Rather, it uses the opportunity given to make a truce. Then, after the mouse opened the basket with its sharp claws, the serpent strikes and kills the mouse, enjoying a free meal and its freedom from its precarious condition. The Lord then proclaimed that at the bottom of the milk ocean there is a special liquid called Amrita, or nectar of immortality. Instructing the demigods to take up hopes and deceive the demons, he let them depart with the knowledge of how the ocean of milk can be churned, to reveal the content at the unfathomed depths of the ocean, and he instructed them that everything else that is produced as a result of the churning should not be desired by the demigods, and they should not be angry when not obtaining them. Indra and his followers then approached the great demon, King Maharaja Bali. Seeing their enemies daring to approach them, the generals of the demons looked forward to execute their enemies on spot. But the great Bali stopped them. Maharaj Bali knew very well when to make peace and when to fight. Thus, although his commanders and captains were agitated and were about to kill the demigod, Maharaj Bali, seeing that the demigods came to him without a desire to fight, forbade his commanders to kill them. After pleasing Maharaj Bali with mild words, Lord Indra, the king of the demigods, who was most intelligent, very politely submitted all the proposals he had learned from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Viṣṇu. The proposal was accepted by Bali and his ministers, and thus they marched with their armies toward the ocean of milk. Thereafter, under great endeavor and strength, the demigods and demons uprooted the giant mount Manthana. Promising a share of the famous Amrita, the Asuras and Devatas convinced the giant serpent Vasuki to come and be used as a churning rod for the curdling of the milk ocean. Viṣṇu, who expanded as the tortoise Kurma, became the base on which the mountain could rest. On the pretext of suffering from an itch on his back, he took the heavy weight of the mountain as a means to scratch himself. Thus they made an enormous endeavor to churn the ocean with great force. With the strong hopes to attain immortality, both the demigods and demons labored enormously. Yet Viṣṇu teaches us that before we get the nectar of immortality, we get the poison of Maya. Suddenly, the hala poison, so toxic that it could kill anyone on contact, fumed from the ocean's depth, overwhelming the beach. Being terrified for their lives and unable to protect themselves, the Daityas and Devatas both approached Mahadeva. Lord Shiva, being merciful and free from envy, transformed the poison to the size of his palm and drank it. Some of the poison fell from his hands, and scorpions, serpents, and other venomous animals absorbed it. Thus some of the famous poison remains in the world till today. Even though the poison could not kill Shiva, even Lord Mahadev struggled to contain the powerful poison. Shiva's wife Parvati, seeing the compassion of her husband, placed her hand on his throat to prevent the poison from passing down into his stomach. Again, both parties used their strength to engage in the churning. After the poison was drained, the truth of Lord Viṣṇu's promised wealth started to appear as gifts from the ocean. First was the famous Surabhi cow, a cow that would supply unlimited amount of milk and ghee used for sacrifice. The sages and Brahmanas took charge of her. Then a white mare named Uchai-shrava, which was as white as the moon, was generated. Bali Maharaja desired to possess this horse, and Indra, the king of heaven, did not protest, for he had previously been so advised by Lord Viṣṇu to not demand anything that is produced for themselves. Afterwards, Airavata, the mount of Indra, who left with Lakshmi previously, was returned to Indra's possession. Generated thereafter were the celebrated gems Kaustubhamani and Padmaragamani. Lord Viṣṇu, to decorate his chest, desired to possess them. Next there appeared the Apsaras, who are maidens of the heavenly planets. They were fully decorated with golden ornaments and lockets and were dressed in fine and attractive clothing. The Apsaras moved very slowly in an attractive way that bewilders the inhabitants of the heavenly planets. After that, the famous Lakshmi Devi emerged from a lotus, holding a lotus flower in her hand and smiling shyly. Everyone wanted to possess her. The goddess of fortune, pondering about the assembly, thought in the following way.
Someone possesses knowledge, but he has not conquered material desires.
Someone who has undergone great austerity has not yet conquered anger.
Someone is a very great personality, but he cannot conquer lusty desires.
Even a great personality depends on something else. How then can he be the supreme controller?
Someone else may have renounced attachment to the material world, yet he cannot compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Someone may possess full knowledge of religion, but still not be kind to all living entities.
Someone may possess great power and yet be unable to check the power of eternal time. Someone may have longevity, but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspiciousness and good behavior, but the duration of his life is not fixed.
Though such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits.
And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
In this way, after full deliberation, the goddess of fortune accepted Mukunda as her husband, because although he is independent and not in want of her, he possesses all transcendental qualities and mystic powers and is therefore the most desirable. Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the goddess of fortune placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which was surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. All the demigods, along with the Prajapatis and their descendants being blessed by Lakshmi's glance upon them, were immediately enriched with good behavior and transcendental qualities. Thus they were very much satisfied. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the father of the three worlds, and his bosom is the residence of Mother Lakshmi, the proprietor of all opulences. The goddess of fortune, by her favorable and merciful glance, can increase the opulence of the three worlds, along with their inhabitants and their directors. Finally, after continuing the churning, a very wonderful male person appeared. He was strongly built, his arms were long, stout and strong. His neck, which was marked with 3 lines, resembled a conch shell. His eyes were reddish and his complexion was blackish. He was very young. He was garlanded with flowers and his entire body was fully decorated with various ornaments. He was dressed in yellow garments and wore brightly polished earrings made of pearls. The tips of his hair were anointed with oil and his chest was very broad. His body had all good features. He was stout and strong like a lion, and he was decorated with bangles. In his hand he carried the pot of nectar. This man was called Dhanvantari, and he was an expert in Ayurveda and medical science. On seeing Dhanvantari carrying the jug of nectar, the demons, desiring the jug and its content, immediately snatched it away by force. Soon thereafter, an intense quarreling started to ensue amongst the demons. Who should possess the nectar? The demigods, fearing that the demons will deprive them of their share of nectar, approached Lord Viṣṇu for help. The Lord replied to the demigods to not worry, as he will personally accept a form to bewilder them. Then assumed the form of the most beautiful Mohini Murti. The beautiful goddess then entered the midst of the demons and started an argumentation.
All of us have been born of the same father, Kashyap. We are brothers, yet we quarrel over the nectar. Please settle our dispute and distribute it among us.
If you accept it, whatever I may do, then I shall take responsibility for distributing the nectar among you.
Mohini Murti then started to allegedly distribute the nectar to the demigods first, arguing that since they are of low nature and envious of the demons, they should be pacified by being served first. The demons, blindly trusting Mohini because of intense lust, waited patiently in line for Mohini to turn towards them. Among the generals of the Asuras, only Rahu understood that Mohini was going to cheat them, and thus he sat between Chandra and Surya, dressed as a demigod in hopes to attain a share of the nectar. Mohini, being the all-knowing personality of Godhead, understood that Rahu tried to cheat him. Nonetheless, she allowed the demon to taste one drop of the nectar before chopping off his head with the Sudarshan chakra. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead teaches the entire world that intelligence and sense control is the right way towards divinity. But carrying a demonic nature in one's heart will not allow one to enter the eternal kingdom of God, where submission to the Lord is the first principle. Therefore, Rahu was forced to serve in the cosmic order, while being rewarded for his acceptance of Buddhi. Realizing they had been denied the nectar of immortality, the Daityas and Danavas erupted in fury. The restraint vanished, the truce broken, and the shores of the sacred Kṣīra-sāgara became the stage for one of the most devastating wars in cosmic history. Turned.
Like a conjurer who bewilders innocent children by magical tricks, you think you can conquer us by illusion. Indra!
Those who are wise do not become proud in victory or depressed in defeat. Everything is controlled by eternal time. Victory and defeat are not ultimately produced by personal strength.
Finding a deep-found respect for his opponent's wise word, the mighty Indra prepared to face Bali on his mighty flying fortress. After the demigods increasingly grow desperate and tired, they intensely pray for the Supreme Lord for their deliverance. Thus, finally, after a long conquest, the heavenly kingdoms were returned to Indra. Now comes the big question. What is the Supreme Personality of Godhead conveying with this Leela? Is it just an action story of war meant for pleasing the ear, or is it meant to cause us to think? The purport of this revelation is best explained by the Bhagavatam itself. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entity. When one pours water on the root of a tree, the trunk and branches of the tree are automatically pleased. Similarly, when one becomes a devotee of Lord Viṣṇu, everyone is served, for the Lord is the supersoul of everyone's heart. Why did the Lord devise a plan to cheat the demons of their share of Amrita? From the very beginning, he told the demigods to play snake and mouse with them. Is God not equal to all living beings? No, that's not what it means. It means that the nature of demoniac existence does not allow sanction for immortality. One must become blessed by good behavior and divine qualities, as shown by the appearance of the Goddess of Fortune after turning the nectar. Her return empowered the demigods to turn the tide. The demons got the nectar first, but because of envy and quarrel, they were not able to divide it, unable to trust one another. If you are immortal, and I am not, that means, after you drink first, it is easy for you to kill me. Therefore the demons, accepting a truce only for selfish desires, couldn't even overcome them for a second to rise to immortality. Viṣṇu teaches that the demonic qualities bind one to mortal existence in samsara, while divine qualities make one eligible to attain the immortality that is anyway natural to the soul. The demons labored very hard, but got nothing, and the demigods, on the other hand, who had help all the way, felt supported on the whole path, even though they struggled and endured losses. They ultimately became victorious. Thus Lord Viṣṇu, the Supreme Maintainer, teaches that eternally those who do good, even if faced with adversity, will ultimately attain his eternal kingdom. But he never excuses that when one has attained everything that is desirable, one commits the offense of disrespect towards a respectable person. Even the great can fall down, as shown by Indra, and even the low can rise high, as shown by Bali. Bali did not suffer ultimate defeat, and later he would conquer heaven for good, only stoppable by another incarnation of Viṣṇu. Bali became the greatest conqueror of the universe. Thus ultimately, Viṣṇu is equal to all who surrender unto him, and gives chances to those rejecting him to find a way back to his lotus feet through his various expansions of the Guna avatars. I hope we successfully drained the poison and prepared ourselves to receive the Amrita.